Okay, so I wanted to read a little something to you. Sometimes I think mornings are just, especially in the summer, well, all year round, but mornings have this special time, right? When I like summer mornings because it's before the heat comes. So it's this kind of secret part of the day where the beauty is just beginning. And if you have an opportunity to be outside going for a walk or spending a little time in your yard, um, it's just this beautiful, hopeful, endless possibility type of feeling that the morning provides. And I just want to read, I read this every morning when I wake up, and I thought it might be helpful for you to hear. So it's Matins, which is in Christian tradition, it's like the morning prayer. So this is not a traditional Matins, and John O'Donohue. Okay. Somewhere out at the edges, the night is turning and the waves of darkness begin to brighten the shores of dawn. The heavy dark falls back to earth and the freed air goes wild with light. The heart fills with fresh, bright breath and thought stirs to give birth to color. I arise today in the name of silence, womb of the word, in the name of stillness, home of belonging, in the name of solitude, of the soul and the earth. I arise today, blessed by all things, wings of breath, delight of eyes, wonder of whisper, intimacy of touch, eternity of soul, urgency of thought, miracle of health, embrace of God. May I live this day, compassionate of heart, clear in word, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, and generous in love. So what it brings me to want to talk about is the sense of intention and how all new beginnings, whether it's a phone call that you're making and a new beginning conversation or the beginning of a day or the beginning of a task, it's important to pause and have intention. And we do this in our yoga practice too, you know, this moment that we're about to have to set a clear intention for your practice. And when you have a momentary pause before beginning anything, and it doesn't have to be long, it can just be a few seconds, it sets you clearly, consciously on the path of where you want to go. And that's not to say that the path travels the path you think it's going to go, but it lets you find presence. And when we do this, so much more is in our consciousness and beauty we appreciate. There's gratitude that can flow. So close your eyes and set intention. And maybe set intention for your day. Maybe set intention for your practice. So whatever you are calling forth into your day today, maybe you have something important that you're working with that you need some grounding for. So whatever it is, can you allow yourself to settle into the body, relax your eyes, relax your jaw, feel a sense of ease come into your face. Breathe deeply into your restful self. Melt everything you can find so that you're spacious, that ease brings spaciousness into the body and mind. Let the breath travel through these open windows of spaciousness that you're creating. And with this fresh new breath, what do you intend? Is there something you're cultivating in your heart or mind that you want to set forth into the day? How can your practice be an assistance, a grounding and cultivating, blooming force for your intention? And let this quietly sit like a little seed in your heart. Find your body again, ground down, come into the legs, come into the deep low pelvis, the belly. Feel a sense of spaciousness through your spine. Grow. And place your hands at your heart and seal this intention, mind and heart together. And let's go ahead and release the hands and come onto your back. All right, so let's find our way onto our mat and enjoy. Hopefully it hasn't been too many hours since you've been horizontal. And let's enjoy just what that gives your body, the spaciousness, the kind of spreading out like water spreading out on the floor. Especially feel that spreading out through your spine. So any, places that you have felt some tension, can you just let things go? And then just take a few breaths here. Just enjoy the melting, letting the heavy bones drop down. And as you start to release toward the floor, just scan your body from your crown to your tail to your feet. And just notice if there's any places that you already sense that you need to give some TLC to, some loving care. And part of your intention be about treating yourself with kindness and respect through your practice. Enjoy how the breath moves freely through your lungs here. All right, and then let's start to move. So stretch your arms overhead and lengthen. Maybe a little bit of yawning, maybe a little bit of squeezing. See just what feels good to stretch the right side, stretch the left side, just coming into some opening. All right, then relax and bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit. And just sense into the sacrum, how your body feels. What does rocking feel like in your spine? And then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor, wiggle out your toes, feel a sense of opening and freedom through your feet, and move your ankles around so you can feel that waking through your shins, calves, and the side muscles of your calves as well. Give a good squeeze into that hip, and then switch sides. Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor. Feel both the flexion and the extension, and feel free to move the feet around here. So some wiggles, some sways. Try to get into the sensation of the calves, not just the ankles themselves. And then give a good squeeze to the hip, and then bring the right knee to join back. Sway a couple of times here. Okay. And then either holding the shins or the backs of the knees, whichever is comfortable for you. Let's pull the knees apart and swing them back in. And just going back and forth a little bit. Just finding whatever the range of motion for your hip joints is available today. All right, and then put your feet down onto the ground, wide on the mat. Let's start with some just swaying with your knees side to side, and let this start to wake up the sides of your waist a little bit. You can add arms into it if you want to stretch your arm overhead. You can even kind of roll over onto your side and let the side bodies open. So just getting used to breathing and moving. All right, and then go ahead and relax. We're going to take a little bit deeper twist here. So lift, we do this often at the end of class. Lift the hips, move them right, knees up, drop left. Take a deep breath in. Melt into the body, turn the head, feel a sense of space. How can your breath guide your intentions? And intentions, of course, we set them in the beginning of the task, but every once in a while it's kind of like cooking. You gotta go back to that back burner and stir the pot once or twice every few minutes. Intentions are like that, where you need to revisit them every once in a while and make sure that you're keeping clear. Okay, bring the knees back, scooch the hips the other way, knees up, drop them. Take a deep breath, open the chest, feel the rib cage broaden. Deep inhale, soft exhale. All right, and then go ahead and lift the knees back up. Let's come into our starfishes. So opening your body up, spreading your arms and legs. Exhale, knees in, chest in, curling. A couple of times here. Opening the breath wide. Exhale, drawing the knees into the chest. One more time. All right, let's find our way over onto our side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And let's start moving through some cat-cows. So feeling a sense of where does your spine easily move through range of motion? Where is there a little bit of stuckness or tightness? So just find your movement pattern. Whatever's easily happening, try to come to your range, but not go past your range of motion. Remember that you have shoulder blades that don't touch the spine, but they certainly integrate with the movement of the spine. Remember, you have a pelvis that attaches to your sacrum, and so it's connected to your spine. And then remember, you have a head, this big heavy head that connects to the spine. So try to find the ways in which you're integrating the spine into your limbs, your head, your tail, your arms, your legs. Now start to find any movement that feels good. If you want to do some circles with your pelvis or sway from side to side, getting into the opening of the side bodies a little bit, whatever feels really nice to you. And remember, you can always come onto blocks on your forearms if your wrists are bothersome. There's ways to do a practice like this that doesn't require your hands to be on the floor. Okay, let's come into our warm-up twist. Inhale, reach the right arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Gaze toward the floor, let the eyes be restful. Find your breath. Doesn't matter how deep into this posture you go. Enjoy the sense of compression around your diaphragm and lungs, and move your breath into that compression. And then inhale, reach the arm all the way back up. Place the hand down onto the ground and change sides. Bring the arm up, slide it under. Same thing. Enjoy the twist. So if you want to press your hand into the floor to deepen, that's okay. Just make sure you're following the breath. Have the intention that your breath is your primary mover instead of forces like leveraging bones against floor. And then inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place your hand down onto the ground. Stretch back towards child's pose. And even if your child's pose doesn't come to the floor like this, even if you're up a little higher, find what's comfortable for you. Relax your forehead toward the floor. If you want to rest it on a block or the ground or something, that's fine. You don't have to. Your head can be in the air. Deep breath in and away. Walk the hands over to the left side of your mat. Open the right rib cage and enjoy this stretch. From fingers to hips, see what kind of space you can find. Make sure your neck is relaxed and not taking on the posture. How does it feel to breathe deeply into your lungs? And let's come back to center. Walk the hands over the other way. Drop weight down into the pelvis. Base of the skull is soft. Eyes are relaxed. Breath is deep. All right, come back to center. All right, let's find our way to dog pose. So find your way up. And remember, if dog pose is not a good posture for you, for your shoulders or wrists or anything, you can always modify. There's ways to do dog pose with your hands against furniture or a wall, where you still can find the extension through your spine without, you can even do one arm if the shoulder is bothering you. Okay. So find the breath. Extend through the spine as best as you can. Feel that sense of the heart lifting toward the pelvis. Feel free to move around here. So do you want to drop a heel
Do you want to sway a knee past the midline and let the hips have some range of motion? Do you want to bounce and kind of vibrate through your femur bones? Do you want to move your feet around and feel them wake up? How's your head? Can you let it melt and rest? Can you lose the sense that you always have to be so rigid in your posture? Can you find your alignment and then breathe into the alignment? Let energy move through your body. All right, and then let's walk our feet forward, come into Uttanasana, so fold from the femur bones, from the hip joints, not from the spine. Let your head bobble around, bend your knees as much as you want to so the spine can stay long and free. Open up the bottom of your feet. See if you can lift the arches, both inner and outer arches, all the way up to the groins. And then as you're ready, hands on blocks if you want them, on the thighs or shins, extend into a halfway lift. So this way our legs get straighter, our spine gets straighter, the shoulders are away from the ears. Then melt and fold in a little bit. Push off your feet, rise up, reach the arms to the sky. If you're dizzy, remember there's always ways to balance your blood pressure. All right, tuck your chin toward your chest, squeeze your palms toward each other if you get dizzy at all. And then release, relax your hands down and just pause here for a moment. So standing into the new day, so set that intention, have some gratitude for the senses that are inviting the day in. Deep breath in, arms up to the sky. Exhale and release your arms down. Inhale for a halfway lift. Then exhale and float down. Let's step our left foot back. Our right foot comes forward. Blocks are so nice. You can put your back knee on the ground if you want. You can keep your back knee up off the floor if you want. Let's just wake up the legs a little bit more. Bending and straightening the legs while you're breathing. Don't worry about going all the way straight. It's just a movement action to let the fibers of your muscles have some lubrication. Movement is so good for this. You know, I really think a little bit of movement in the beginning of your practice instead of holding poses is very helpful for waking up and nourishing and softening all of the soft tissue in the body. All right, and then let's come into a twist. Your back knee can come onto the ground if you want, or your back knee can come up. We're going to move the arms here. So you can have your hand on a block or on the floor, wherever you want to be. And we're just going to do a big giant backstroke with our upper arm. Okay, using your breath. Inhale to rise the arm up. Exhale for the downswing of the clock. Try to keep stable through the legs as you do this. Opening up the ribs, the chest a bit. One more time. When you get up there, let's pause and stay. So you get to decide where you are in your posture. This back femur bone, if it's sinking toward the floor, lift it up or put your knee down so you can lift the femur bone up with the knee down. Shoulders away from the ears. And release the hands down onto the ground. Step back either to dog pose or to all fours and do a cat-cow. You decide where the effort of your practice lives. Extend through the spine, deepen your breath. How is your breath working with your intention for the day? What can be released here in your practice? What can be opened here in your practice? All right, let's come down either onto your knees so you can bring your foot forward or just swing your foot forward. So remember, the transition from dog pose is a difficult one. So, if lifting your leg up and swinging your knee through to a lunge is difficult for you, instead, you can come into dog pose, come down onto your knees, come up and bring your foot forward. So there's always ways to make the transitions a little more gentle if your body struggles with the big movements. Let's go ahead, having your left foot forward now, right foot back. And let's start moving here. So just waking up the hip flexors and the hamstrings. Allow your chin to drop in toward your chest as you straighten your legs. Don't worry about going all the way straight. Just move into your range of motion. So we want to fill up, kind of like coloring in the lines, right? So fill yourself up into your range of motion, but don't stretch beyond what's comfortable for your body. Are you breathing while you move? All right, and then let's find our way back to a lunge. The knee can come onto the floor or the knee can lift up. You can have your hand on a block or your hand on the floor, whichever feels good. Big, wide open. So, try in this action to not just make it be about the shoulder, but make it about the chest turning with the body so that we're rotating the ribs, not just the shoulder joint. You want both opening. Finding the breath, that back femur bone is lifting regardless of whether the knee is up or down. A downswing of the clock, exhale. Upswing of the clock, inhale. And then the next time we get there, knee up or knee down, you decide. We're gonna come into a twist. Shoulders are away from the ears. Free up the breath, open across the collarbones. All right, and then let's go ahead and bring that hand down. Come back onto all fours, knees are down on the ground. Find a cat-cow. And then we're going to find our way down onto the ground. So whichever way you get down there, however it's comfortable, walk the elbows a little bit forward of the shoulders and turn your hands out on a little bit of an angle and extend here. So a little bit more gentle variation of a cobra pose. Find the place in your low back that likes to fall and sink and see if you can lift the belly into that spot, finding some support from below. Stretch into the legs. Open the spine, find the breath. All right, and then let's go ahead and relax. Maybe you want a little bit deeper of a posture and you want to bring your hands back. Lifting the head. Let's do some rolls here. So shoulders up toward the ears and then around, okay? Maybe you want to lift up into cobra pose. Maybe you want to just stay moving the shoulders in some range of motion. Let's come back onto all fours, move things around, sway from side to side, do some circles through your pelvis, let the spine free up before going to a really full pose. And once you're ready, dog pose again. Enjoy your feet, open them up, feel free to pedal things around. Deep breath in and away. And then walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Fold from the hip joints, bend your knees as much as you want. Let the spine be a waterfall from the sacrum to the crown. All right, inhale, halfway lift, hold the tops of your thighs or your shins or blocks. Exhale and melt to the floor. Climb up, bring your arms to the sky. Once again, if you're dizzy, just tuck your chin. You can always squeeze your thighs too, so you can cross one thigh over the other and squeeze your legs against each other. All these things will lift your blood pressure up if you tend to have some orthostatic hypotension. And so elbows are out to the sides, open the chest, cactus those arms. Now, if this is not comfortable, or if you find that your hands are way forward like this and it's hard to align, open up your hands until you get to that place where your chest is where you're feeling the stretch. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Let's do some standing cat-cows. Open the chest, exhale, round the spine. One more time. And then reach the arms. Exhale and melt. Fold forward. Halfway lift. And relax. Let's step our left foot back. We're going to come eventually to the long edge of your mat. So go ahead and find your way there. And bring your legs wide apart. And we're going to turn our feet, move the block so you can see. We're going to turn our feet out just a little bit. And I don't go very deep for this, just in the beginning, but I just want you to warm up by pressing into one foot, yielding. So feel the giving to the earth and the pushing off and go into the other side. And just see what it feels like to transfer from one side to the other. And depending on the health of your knees, you know, you may go very little. You know, it might just be a little bit of work. And if your knees feel real healthy, then maybe you can go a little bit deeper. Okay, so whatever you're doing, start to wake up the external rotators in your hips, finding the breath. All right, and then we're going to settle into yielding 2 feet. Drop weight evenly through your feet. So your pose might be very high, your pose might be very low. It doesn't matter where you end up, be where you are. Okay, spin the toes out and the heels in. Wake up those muscles in your hips. Lift your spine, find your breath. Deep inhale, exhale. All right, and then rise up. We're just gonna flow through this for a moment. Reach the arms, deep breath, arms out to the side. Inhale up. Doesn't matter how deep you go, it might be right here. Find that sense of yielding. Enjoy the symmetry, enjoy the breath. Don't worry about where you can't go. Be fully present for where you can go. All right, and then go ahead. Turn your feet straight. Let's come down. Let the hamstrings stretch open wide again. Maybe your arms come out in front of you. Maybe your hands come on blocks. So however you like to be in this posture, let the heads of the femur bones draw back in the hip joints, but soften the knees. Try not to hyperextend. Find your way into some ease. Now we're going to do a similar action, but with our hands on the floor or the blocks. Your feet can turn in a comfortable way. We're going to come into a lunge. So if your knee's real flexy, then maybe you can come down like this. But if you can't have full range of motion in the knee, which is really, very common, you just be where you are. Let the inner thigh of this leg open. And then come back and move to the second side. So have the support of the blocks or the floor, so all your weight isn't going into the flexion of that knee. Open up the inner thigh of this leg. All right, come back to center. Okay, let's come up to stand. Finding some traditional standing poses now. So line up your front heel with the back arch if that's a comfortable place for you. Find your breath. We're going to flow through this. Arms can be up or out. Take a deep breath in. Come into Virabhadrasana 2. Maybe your hands come in like this, and then find your way out. Maybe your arms come up and find your way out. So it doesn't matter where you end up. Let some movement happen. Now, depending on your joints, when you come into a lunge and stay now, see how your knee feels. So remember, you can always put a block against a wall or a piece of furniture to help you stabilize your knee joint. So if kind of hanging out in a flexed knee is difficult for you, you can have a lot of work in the outer hips without it being so intense for your knee. Okay. Shoulders soft, deep breaths. Drop the shoulders. All right, and then come on back. Let's find our way to triangle pose. Find the length. You can place your hand on your leg somewhere, but just try not to bear weight. You don't want to lean onto your leg. It's just a lightness. It's a light touch. Extend the spine. Feel the line from your crown to your back foot, and then lift your arm into that space. Spread open your chest. Finding some breath. Stay grounded through your back heel. Try not to lose the yielding in either one of your legs. Can you give to the earth and rebound through? Do you have that sense of the starfish where you're radiating from your center out and then calling the limbs back home? Let's go ahead and come on up. Turn your feet to the other way. Okay, so we're going to come into Virabhadrasana 2 with some movement. on this side. So once again, if you need a block, after we do a little movement, if you want to put a block against a piece of furniture or a wall to stabilize your knee, to decide whether you want your arms up or at your heart for movement. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, find your way into the posture. Inhale, find your way out of the posture. Let your body kind of peek at the pose and come away. And peek at the pose and come away. Just preparing, and now we get to stay. So where do you want your arms to be? Maybe try flipping your palms up toward the sky so your chest from the very center can stretch to your hands. Remember, you can be very lightly bent. Your knee does not need to go very far in this posture. You can be very bent. So you decide. Find the work in the outer hips. Feel both legs yielding into the earth. Feel the core support you so you're not divoting in that low back spot. Deep breaths in. Deep breaths away. Let's go ahead and straighten your leg when you're ready, and let's find our way to triangle pose. Reach your arms so the legs are straight. Remember, your hand can be right about here. This pose does not have to be really tippy to the side to find the openness that you're looking for in the legs. So root your feet down, especially the big toe now, and see if you can find some grounding. Find the yielding in both legs. Try not to forget that your back leg is supporting you. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Discover the chest stretching to the hands. Discover the spine lengthening, crown to tail. Bring your breath into all of these actions. Be really careful to not hyperextend this knee. Even a teeny bend in the knee like that can be better than locking out the joint. Stretching those inner thighs. And then go ahead and come back up. Let's turn the feet to the long edge one more time. Come down into Posrita. Relax your head, soften your skull. Deep breath in and away. All right, let's heel toe your feet in. I'm hoping you have 2 blocks. If not, you can do this. How can you do this? You can do this on the edge of a blanket. Okay, so we're going to take the blocks on a little bit of a ramp. Let me show you from the side. And we're going to walk our feet up the blocks wherever we go. Now, look at, I have a table right here, which is very handy. If you want some furniture to hold on to, or you can put your hands on the blocks. You can bend your knees here. That will actually stretch your soleus muscle even more, the muscle underneath your gastrocnemius, which is like the big fat calf muscle. Okay. So feel the extension through your heart. Lift the heart. Let the backs of the calves open. Okay, right at the attachments at the backs of your knees. Can you stretch and widen the backs of the knees? Can you lift the sit bones? Even if the knees, and maybe try bending the knees just a little bit. See what changes. Root into the big toes. If your hands don't go all the way to the blocks, they can be on a couch, chair, piece of furniture. And then let's go ahead and find our way out of that. Roll each ankle a couple times. And now come back to dog pose. So as you find dog pose, with your soleus and your gastrocnemius muscles really awake, what can you do to, does it feel different? You know, when you come down into this posture, is the contact with the floor, and I don't mean that your heels should come down, but do you find a sense of grounding through your feet that's a little different than your first dog pose? Can you stretch the backs of the knees, not to the place where you're feeling like you're pushing your knees back and hyperextension, but just opening, spreading the backs of the knees. Lift the sit bones to the sky. Deep breaths in and out. Try bending your knees here a little bit now. All right, walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Fold a little bit. Wag your tail. See what feels nice. Inhale for a halfway lift. And exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet. Lift up. Arms coming to the sky. Once again, if you're dizzy, just pause for a moment. chin to chest, squeeze your hands if your body's getting used to being upright. And then let's rest our hands when you're able to and just feel the sense of your body in space. So what has your practice done for you already? Do you feel more in your body, more embodied? Do you feel open in places that were a little closed a half hour ago? Can you deepen your breathing? Now for this, have your feet a little wider than your hips if you want. This is very simple, and I want you to let your hips go with the movement instead of locking the hips, okay? So we're just gonna twist from one side to the other. Let the spine enjoy the range of motion. Unlock yourself a little bit, but still stay stable. So your core muscles, your obliques are working. Let the heel lift off the ground as you spin the hip with the arms, so don't resist the legs. Go with. Enjoy how this feels in your spine. Only go to your range of motion. Make sure your core is active. And then relax. Shrug your shoulders a few times. Some big old range of motions. Add the arms to that. You can move through some cactuses on through, or some just big old circles. Take care to not put pressure on your neck, the base of your skull. And then come out, press your palms toward the walls next to you. Spread out your palms. Find your breath. Drop your hands, fingers point down, fingers point up. Fingers point down, fingers point up. Deep breaths. Roll your wrists a few times. And then full big circle again. Exhale and fold in half. Let the back relax, melt the base of the skull. Take the heel of your hand against the base of the skull. Draw the chin a little bit toward your chest. Make sure there's no tension from those arm swings. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release back down. Step back to a plank or to all fours. So if planks are really difficult for you, for your shoulders, or for whatever reason, knees can come down onto the ground. If you want something in between, come onto all fours and then just walk your knees back a few inches and bring your shoulders over your wrists. So you have a little bit more effort than on all fours, but still supported by your knees on the ground. Engage inhales, let things broaden. Engage exhales to find your core. All right, let's go ahead and find our way down to the ground. Choose a back bend of your choice. And if you're not choosing a back bend, pick up your feet and rock left and right. Deep breaths in and away. All right, let's put our legs back down onto the ground, whatever you're choosing. We're going to bring our right knee close up toward our armpit, come into a stretch here, and then we're going to find our way into a twist. So arm comes overhead, inhale, open things up, spread out your arms if you have the room to do so. The knee can leave the floor, just a big old chest stretch. Spinal twist, fill your breath. Remember to stay in your spine's range of motion and not beyond. So if it's a deep twist for you, lift the knee higher away from the floor. All right, let's go ahead and come back round again. Pick up your feet, windshield wiper, make sure your back is happy. And then lay your feet down. Let's bring our left knee up high toward our armpit. Just enjoy the hip compression in this pose for a moment. And then we're going to turn this into a twist. So you decide, if you want your chest to be where a lot of I'm stuck with my furniture. If your chest is where you want this pose to really find its way, then stabilize your knee and just let your arm go where it wants, or maybe you want to let the arm fall all the way to the floor and let your knee lift a lot. So find the sweet spot where you're opening across your chest and not going so deep in your spine that you're passing beyond your range of motion. Deep inhales, deep exhales. And then let's go ahead and come out of the posture. Come back onto your belly, come up onto all fours, and find your way into a cat-cow. So you know your body. What nourishes your spine best? Do you like to round or arch? Do you like to circle and sway? You know, what gives you a sense of ease and freedom through your spine? And then eventually finding your way back to child's pose, if it's comfortable. Breathe deeply. All right, we're gonna come up onto your seat now. You need some props, so grab onto at least a blanket at the very least. Okay, we're going to sit on the edge of a blanket. You might need more props than this. Let me get my blocks. Okay. All right, we're gonna bring our legs wide. So hopefully the work we've done to stretch our inner thighs and calves have prepared us for this posture. You can be higher. If you are struggling with the attachments of your inner thighs, you can try to stick a blanket rolled up, one underneath each knee, so that you're a little supported. You can try blocks. They're not as comfy as blankets. So, but you can have support so that you're not yanking on the attachments of your hamstrings or your calves. So you find what you need. Stretch the heels, stretch the feet, lift the spine, find your breath. The reason to sit on a blanket is so that you're not rolling back onto your sacrum, but feeling the ground of your pelvis. Lift open your heart. Breathe deeply here. Stretch your arms out like we did before, palms facing the wall. Okay. And then turn the palms up. And still face the palms to the wall, but your arms, your wrists are facing to the sky. Okay, and then release the stretch through your arms and come forward. Now this is where some props can come in handy. You can stack blocks, elbows, make a little perch for your head. So this might work for you. Maybe you need a little more support than this. You can have whatever you need. Furniture is nice. You can do this on the edge of a couch, like on the corner of a bed or the corner of a couch, so that you can rest on the edge of the furniture. So however you're able to do it, it's helpful to have something to rest your head in. So the head can be in the palms, your elbows on whatever props you need. If you're very flexible, then you can come lower. Once again, staying in your range of motion. Notice when you go deep, if you compensate in some weird way, like if you drop your head real low, do you round the back? So see if you can keep the spaciousness of the heart, the depth of your breath, the integrity of your musculature. All right, and then let's come back. Staying here just for another moment. We're going to twist. So one hand in the front. If you're up on a high perch, you might need blocks to put your hands on. Okay, so twisting one way. Find that rotation in the spine again. Ground the femur bones. Open the chest. And then come back to center and go the other way. Now we get to unwind from this posture. Now to come out of it, bend your knees. You can hold your knees and kind of bring your knees toward your chest. Just let your hips relax. Round your back a little bit, tuck your chin toward your chest. And then we're going to come into Baddha Konasana. So the soles of the feet are together. We're going to have, and you can use blocks if you can't reach, you can put blocks like this if you can't reach your elbows or hands to your knees, okay? So let's start just with our hands behind us. We're still on the edge of a blanket if it feels good. Lift up through your spine, open your feet, and stretch your knees toward the floor. We're gonna do a little PNF stretching here. So bring your hands or your forearms onto your legs, and we're going to lift our legs into our arms and press our arms or hands into your legs. To have that meeting, where the two find strength against each other. Find your breath. And then just see what you can do to melt, let all that go, let the arms win so that the knees start to descend. And let's do that one more time. And you may find when you get lower, you need to change your hand position. Once again, you can always put blocks here and press into the blocks if that helps you stay upright with your spine. So one more time, press arms and legs into each other. Find your breath. And then release the pressure of your legs and let the arms help the legs descend. So whatever props you're using, whether it's arms or blocks, just allow yourself to open a little bit deeper into Supta Baddha Konasana. Now find that opening, let it be there. Bring your body back to an upright posture, hands behind you, and draw the knees down. So there's deep work in the hips to do this. See what you can do to stay belly breathing. All right, and then let's go ahead and hold the outer knees. Bring the knees in one more time, knees to your chest, round in, let your spine round a bit, tuck your chin. Okay, and then we're going to stretch the legs out on the floor. So just find your spot on your back, stretch your legs, and I want you to just rock your legs. So have them hip width apart, and then you just want your toes to touch and your toes to move away from each other. So just letting the whole leg rock internal, external. Okay, so right from the hip joint, not just your feet are doing this. Visualize that your femur bones have so much range of motion, that you're fluid in the range of motion in your hips. All right, and then relax that for a moment. We're going to come into a supported bridge pose. If you want to do an active bridge pose, you can. We're going to take the block on the low height or the mid height, not the high height. You want the width, the whole long side of the block to be underneath your sacrum and pelvis instead of the short side. Okay, so you don't want to just support your sacrum, you want to support your pelvis and your sacrum so that your sacroiliac joints are not strained. All right, so you get to decide the height and then you get to decide what to do with the legs. So first to begin, just melt. Keep the knees bent, feet on the floor so that you can get that sense that the heads of the femur bones can just soften into the psoas stretch instead of harden. Deep belly breathing. And then you might decide, I love it here, I'm just going to stay right here. And also you might decide, oh, I just wish my hip flexors could open a little bit more. In which case you can straighten one leg at a time, heel on the ground, or you can straighten two legs at a time, heel on the ground. The two legs at a time is definitely a little bit more effort across the low back and the sacrum. So you have to decide what feels really good in your body. Just opening up through the psoas muscles, the hip flexors. And you get to decide. So if your feet are on the floor, it's soothing. It can be very soothing for the psoas. It's not a deep stretch for the psoas, but it's a softening, and both are great. If you're doing one leg, make sure you switch. Focus on your breath. Deep inhale, long exhale. Let's go ahead and come back to feet on the ground. Put the block on the low height if it's higher than that, and bring your knees towards your chest. Just a little traction for your back. The knees can be wide or close, what feels best in your body. Okay, you can hold behind the knees if your knees don't flex super deep. You can hold your shins if your knees flex super deep. Just let the back stretch. All right, let's go ahead and lower the legs down toward the ground. Simple twist again, like we did in the beginning. Lift the hips, move them right, knees up, drop left. Enjoy the outer hip. You can always straighten the top leg too if you need a little bit more stretch. So I'll turn toward you so you can see. So the knees stack. If you want to lengthen the top leg, you can grab onto anywhere along your leg or your big toe. You don't have to do this. You can keep your knees together. I mean, knees bent, but either way, knees stay together. And come back up and change to the other side. So scooch the hips first and then drop the knees. And remember, your knees can be bent. And if it's hard to get to the floor, you can put a block underneath your shins so that you have some support. You can straighten the top leg. Whatever variation works for your body. All right, and then let's go ahead and come back. Now, flat on the ground, bring your knees to your chest and rock a little bit. Maybe you want to tuck the chin toward the chest. Maybe you want to come into happy baby pose. What's needing nurturing right now? Then roll over onto your side, and we're going to come into heart bench. So if you have 2 blocks, I'll show you with blocks. You can do this with blankets as well. So you can choose. I'm kind of short, so sometimes I do this pose with the block across my body. Most times I do the pose with the block this way. If you're tall, and I'm 5'2½", so like taller than me, it might feel better to have the block lengthwise in between the shoulder blades. So you want the low height of the block in between your shoulder blades, and then the middle height of the block underneath the base of the skull. If you don't have blocks, you can do this with blankets. If you have 1 block, put the block underneath your spine and then stack up pillows or blankets to support your head. So when you come into this pose, you want your head a little bit above your heart, and you want your heart a little bit above your pelvis. So you're kind of on a ramp. So move your hair, if you have a ponytail, make sure that your head is resting on the block and not some weird lump. And then you settle here for a moment and decide what needs to change. Do I need to change the position of the block? Sometimes moving the block higher toward the head can be helpful, or lower, you decide. And then decide, what do you want your legs to do? They can be just like this. You can put a blanket underneath your knees so your knees are bent. You can put your feet on the floor. You can have your feet wide and knock your knees. You can take the soles of your feet together and open your knees. You can have your legs straight. You can have your legs wide on the floor. There's so many different variations. So the key here is to be embodied. What does your body want? It's different from yesterday or anybody else's body or what your body will want tomorrow. Listen and follow the instincts of your body. It's so wise. The mind that lives in the body does not lie. It gets confused less than the mind inside our head. So listen as attentively to what the body's asking for. Trust yourself. And once you're comfortable, just rest and breathe. Enjoy the shoulders falling away just a bit. The sense that the heart is your leader. What do you want your arms to do? There's so many different positions to take with your arms as well. So just seek your comfort zone and allow yourself to breathe there. When we're ready, we're going to find our way out. Perhaps bend your knees first if they were straight, and be careful. Roll over onto your side and curl into a little ball. You can even keep that head on the block if it feels good. Take a breath into the rounded back. Nourish the back side of your body with your breath. Okay, and then remove that block from behind you, from above your head. Come on to your back, and you decide what kind of posture do you need to release from that. Maybe a twist, maybe a happy baby pose, maybe doing what I'm doing, just rocking. Take a deep breath no matter what you're choosing. And then as you find your way into Shavasana, be supported. So if you want blankets or a bolster underneath your knees, you can always do the old standby of living room yoga and put your legs up on your couch. Something like this might feel really nice after completing our practice with the back bend. Having some support. You can even stack up your blocks and put a blanket on top of them and rest your calves on that. So however you are choosing to come into ease. So as you melt, let your body rest. Surrender your practice. Let it go. There's nothing needed here other than melting. Deep inhale and exhale. Erase all the tension through your body, the skin on your face, your skull. The limbs are heavy and released. The breath has so much room.
Let's begin to deepen our breathing. Find your way into ease of movement, however that feels best to you. Eventually finding your way onto your side, and use your arms to lift yourself upright. Deep breaths as you come. And as you come to sit, bring your palms to your heart. Offer this clear intention into the day. And I'll just read you the last lines of John O'Donoghue's words. May I live this day compassionate of heart, clear of word, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, and generous in love. Offer your energy outward. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.